How many of you here have attended a private school at least once in your life? You? Okay. Would you prefer a private education or a public education for your children?
Private.
And why is that?
Because I believe it's a better learning experience.
Exactly. Many people who have never gone to a private school at some point in their life don't know the variety of benefits that a private education has to offer. Since I've been attending a private school my whole life, I do know and have experienced all of these benefits. One of the most common reasons parents send their kids to a private school is because of the smaller class sizes. There's a greater degree of individual attention than in public schools. Students are able to learn better with the attention given to them every day in class. A 2002 U.S. Department of Education study showed that private schools averaging 13 students per full-time equivalent teacher versus the 16 students in a public school. As a result, teachers are able to spend more time making sure that each student understands the material. Also, the private schools have a reputation for academic excellence in many communities. For example, a January 2013 Daily Dayton News study found that 13 private high schools in the area had better college administration test scores than their public school peers. Like I've heard before from my counselors, since we have a harder grading scale, colleges will notice that and they'll take into consideration, since that our grading scale is harder than the public schools, they'll see that if like a student at the public school got a B and someone at the private school got a C+, they understand and take it as like that student at the private school also got a B because our grading scale is a little bit different. It also helps us prepare more for college because of this. One of the main characteristics a private school has to offer is the discipline. This is one thing that many people not attending a private school tend to remember the most. It's not just something like a bunch of nuns hitting you with rules. It actually has a lot of discipline and conduct codes that we all have to follow by. The Private School Review states that as a condition of enrollment, the private schools require incoming students to show that they've read and understood the conduct code. And my own private school has every student at the beginning of each year read and sign a paper stating that they know and understand the rules that are followed, and make sure that in case anything does happen that they have signed the paper so they know that it was a punishment and it's fair. The actual method of discipline is different at each school, although many private schools impose a zero-tolerance policy for such major offenses like cheating, stealing, or substance abuse. Breaking these rules usually results in immediate expulsion, unlike the public school system. Another great thing the private schools have to offer is their high standards in education for preparing for college, like I said before. The graduation requirements and coursework levels are notably higher at the private schools according to the U.S. Department of Education study. And like I said before, it does help with the harder grading scale, and because all of our teachers, and ever since I was little, they've always taught us how to prepare for college by studying better and making sure we know all of our material and everything else so we know how to do well in college without failing. Also, about 40% of the private schools require that we have community service before we graduate versus 10% of public schools. And at my own private school, we're usually required to have about 30 hours of community service before we do graduate. Lastly, the uniforms. This is something many schools, including the public, have debated on using. Private schools require a strict uniform dress code that each student must follow. Even though many people will say that uniforms loses individuality, it actually helps build self-esteem. People will be bullied and teased in school solely on what they wear. Now, this might not be the case for every student from a public school coming to a private school, but it is the case for some. Students are able to dress comfortably in what they wear because it's all the same. You may not get to dress in sweats every day because you're feeling lazy, but it does help when you have nothing regular, like none of your regular clothes to wear when you're running late. This I've come to know. And here are some examples of the uniforms that a private school has to wear. This is one of the sweaters I usually wear to my private school. It's one that you can't wear a hoodie with it. It just has to be a simple sweater, and usually it has to have like the Phelan logo on it or a school logo. And I got this one at one of the shops at the school, so we're able to wear it. And also, this is the skirt that all the girls are required to wear. And It has to be a certain length above the knee. It can't be too short, or you usually will get written up for it and get a demerit or detention, depending on how many times you wear the skirt short. Personally, I'm glad my parents decided to enroll me in a private school. Even though many of these points don't seem as appealing to the students as they do the parents, going to a private school will help you prepare for college and for your future. The private school has helped me build character and have a better education, and also know all of my classmates instead of just a certain few. If you ever get the option to go to a private school, you won't regret it.